The night is still, too still. You can feel it. Something is wrong. A shiver crawls down your spine. You are not alone. We have all felt it. That prickling sensation, the hair on your arms standing on end, a cold breath on the back of your neck. It's a primal fear. A fear of the unknown, a fear of the dark. These stories are real. They are a glimpse into the darkness that surrounds us. They are a reminder that we are not alone. Something is out there, something ancient and evil, something that watches us from the shadows. These are the stories of the haunted, the possessed, the damned. They will keep you up at night. They will make you afraid of the dark. They will make you question everything you thought you knew about the world. Are you brave enough to read on? In the heart of a small town, nestled among manicured lawns and white picket fences, lies a house with a dark secret. It is a place where sleep brings no rest, where nightmares become reality. This is the home of the Night Hag. For generations, residents have whispered tales of a malevolent entity that haunts the house, a presence that preys on the vulnerable. It comes in the dead of night, when sleep is at its deepest. It sits on your chest, crushing the air from your lungs. You try to scream, but no sound comes out. You're paralyzed with fear. You can feel its cold, rancid breath on your face. It whispers your name, its voice a guttural rasp. You are helpless to resist. You are trapped in a waking nightmare. One by one, the residents succumb to the terror that grips their hearts and minds. They wake up screaming, their sheets soaked in sweat, haunted by nightmares that feel all too real. They see things in the shadows, dark figures that seem to move and shift with a life of their own. Hear voices in the walls, whispers that send chills down their spines and make their skin crawl. They are driven to the brink of madness, unable to escape the relentless fear that consumes them. A young woman named Sarah moved into the house with her boyfriend, eager to start a new chapter in their lives, filled with hope and excitement. They were warned about the house's reputation, but they dismissed it as mere superstition, laughing off the concerns of the locals. They would soon learn the truth. It started slowly, almost imperceptibly at first. Sarah would wake up in the middle of the night with a feeling of being watched, her heart pounding in her chest. She would see shadows moving in the corners of her eyes, fleeting glimpses that left her questioning her sanity. Hear footsteps in the hallway, echoing through the silence of the night, making her blood run cold. She tried to tell her boyfriend, but he didn't believe her, dismissing her fears as mere figments of her imagination. He thought she was just stressed from the move, overwhelmed by the changes in their lives. But then it escalated. One night, Sarah woke up to find the Night Hag sitting on her chest, a dark, oppressive presence that left her paralyzed with fear. She felt a searing pain in her arms and legs, as if invisible hands were gripping her tightly. It felt like she was being burned alive. The pain so intense that it brought tears to her eyes. She screamed for her boyfriend, but he was in a deep sleep. He didn't hear her, leaving her to face the terror alone. The next morning, Sarah's boyfriend found her huddled in a corner of the room, her eyes wide with terror. She was covered in scratches and bruises. He finally believed her. They had to get out of the house. They packed their bags and fled. They left everything behind. They couldn't escape the feeling that they were being watched, that the Night Hag was following them. They knew that they would never be truly safe, not as long as the entity remained in the house. The house stands empty now, a testament to the darkness that lurks within its walls, but the stories remain, passed down from generation to generation. A family's nightmare began in a quiet suburb where they moved into their dream home, a place they had always envisioned for their future. They were so excited to start a new life filled with hope and joy. But, their joy would be short-lived. Someone was watching them from the shadows, someone who didn't want them there, lurking with ill intentions. It all started with strange occurrences that defied explanation. Toys moved on their own, lights flickered unpredictably, whispers seemed to emanate from the walls, sending chills down their spines. At first, they dismissed it as their imaginations playing tricks on them, but as the events grew increasingly disturbing and frequent, they realized that something was terribly wrong, something beyond their understanding. One day, they received an anonymous letter that would change everything. It was addressed to the new owner, a chilling reminder of their unwanted observer. The letter writer claimed to be watching their every move, every single day. They knew intimate details about the family's lives, things that were deeply personal, things that only someone who had been inside the house could have known. The family was terrified. They contacted the police immediately, but there was nothing they could do. The police were baffled. There was no evidence of a crime. The letters continued to arrive, each one more threatening than the last, escalating their fear and anxiety. The writer referred to himself as the Watcher. He claimed that the house had been in his family for generations, that he was chosen to watch over it, and that the family was not welcome there. The family lived in a constant state of fear. They installed security cameras and alarms. They never let their children out of their sight, but it was no use. The Watcher was always one step ahead. One night, the family was awakened by a loud crash. They ran downstairs to find their living room in shambles. Furniture was overturned. Pictures were ripped from the walls, and in the center of the room, written in what appeared to be blood, was a message. Leave now or else. The family had reached their breaking point. They couldn't take it anymore. They packed their bags and fled the house. They left everything behind. They never looked back. The haunting of room 111. In a grand old hotel steeped in history and elegance, there is a room shrouded in darkness, a room where time seems to stand still, where the veil between the living and the dead is thin. This is room 111. A place where guests check in, but they don't always check out. For decades, guests have reported strange and unsettling occurrences in room 111. Unexplained noises, flickering lights, a feeling of being watched. Some guests have even claimed to have seen apparitions, shadowy figures that vanish as quickly as they appear. One guest, a young businessman named John, checked into room 111 for a one-night stay. He was tired from his travels and just wanted a good night's sleep. He didn't believe in ghosts. He would soon regret his skepticism. Trapped in fear. As John settled into bed, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. The unease gnawed at him, making it impossible to relax. He heard whispers coming from the walls, faint but unmistakable, like a sinister conversation just out of earshot. He saw shadows moving in the corners of his eyes, fleeting and elusive, making him question his own sanity. He tried to ignore it, but the feeling grew stronger, an oppressive weight pressing down on him. Suddenly, the temperature in the room plummeted, a chill that cut through his very bones. John's breath formed clouds in the air, each exhale a visible testament to the unnatural cold. The lights began to flicker violently, casting erratic shadows that danced menacingly on the walls. And then he saw her, a figure that seemed to materialize from the darkness itself. A woman in a white gown standing at the foot of his bed, her presence both ethereal and terrifying. Her face was pale and gaunt, a visage of death that sent shivers down his spine. Her eyes were hollow and black, voids that seemed to suck the very light from the room. She stared at John with an expression of pure hatred, her gaze piercing through him like icy daggers. John was paralyzed with fear. He couldn't move. He couldn't speak. His body refused to obey his desperate commands. He could only watch in horror as the woman glided towards him, her movements smooth and unnatural. Just when the woman was about to reach him, she vanished into thin air, leaving behind an eerie silence. The lights flickered back on, restoring a semblance of normalcy to the room. The temperature in the room returned to normal, the oppressive chill lifting as quickly as it had come. John was left trembling in his bed, his heart pounding in his chest, the terror of the encounter etched into his very soul. The unseen guests. John gathered his belongings and fled the room. He raced down the hallway, desperate to escape the horrors of room 111. He couldn't get out of the hotel fast enough. He vowed never to return, but John's experience was not unique. Other guests have reported similar encounters in room 111. Some have even claimed to have been touched or scratched by unseen hands. The hotel staff is well aware of the room's reputation. They try to keep it vacant whenever possible. But sometimes they have no choice. The stories persist. Whispers of the unseen guests who haunt room 111, a chilling reminder that some places hold secrets that are best left undisturbed. The lingering terror. These are just a few of the countless stories of hauntings that plague homes and places all over the world. They are stories of ordinary people who have experienced the unexplainable. They are a testament to the fact that there are forces at work in our world that we do not fully understand. The victims of these hauntings are left forever changed by their experiences. They carry the scars of their encounters with the paranormal. They are living proof that the line between the living and the dead is not always clear. The next time you are alone in the dark, remember these stories. Remember that you are not alone. Something is out there, something ancient and evil, something that is watching you.